talk about Unity?
Yes. The thing with Unity happened. Unfortunately, they changed their course and retroactively changed a bunch of their rules. So now...
What is your feeling about what it is?
Well, it's mostly... The issue isn't necessarily the revenue share problem, because there are other companies that do something similar, and you also have to hit a certain threshold. It's the fact that, on one hand, they did this without any warning, which is a breach of trust. The second is that they went back and changed what their documentation said, which is a big breach of trust. And even if they backpedal and say that we are not going to be doing this, it means that they might do it later anyway. Like, how do we have any guarantee that they won't pull the same thing, let's say 6 months down the line or something of that sort?
So what's the options then going from there?
You could port it over to other engines. You have options like GameMaker, you have Godot, and you have FNA. All of those are viable options. The only problem is people that have locked in to the Unity development side of things, it's going to take a lot of time and money to port things over. And that's sort of the position that we're in. Now, with Vikings and Trampolines specifically, we can of course take some extra time and say that, okay, let's put things on hold and let things simmer for a bit, change it over to a new engine, all that will be fine. Not the same with Savant Descent Remix, which launches in 1.5 weeks. That means that we have to take the risk on the launch, and if it turns out that this is going to be a problem over time, we can't do anything about it. And it also means that, let's say that the game becomes popular, let's say that the game becomes pirated, let's say that someone is malicious and creates an installer that uninstalls and reinstalls the game over and over just because they're evil. How would we take care of it?
Do you think it's going to happen?
Well, there was actually someone that made that for the Rust client, just to be jerks. I don't know if they actually ended up using it, but it means that it's possible.
So Unity is currently apparently thinking again about their announcement. Maybe they will, backpedal as mentioned. So whatever they do, you think the trust is broken at this stage?
I'm sorry.
You think the trust is gone at this stage?
Yeah, it's... So, personally, I love Unity. I think they've done a lot of good work, and they have a lot of people on the team that do very good things. They have good resources, and they have people that actually care about it. The problem, at least from what I understand, seems to be management. And even if they can talk to management, it means that they have to be able to have that trust with management not to overstep their boundaries anymore. And of course, it doesn't really matter what I say. There are hundreds and hundreds of other developers out there right now that are in the same position. So, yes. So if it turns out that they've changed a couple of things later down the line, it doesn't matter what I say. If like 300 developers have jumped ship now, they've already done the damage.
You mentioned Godot earlier. What do you think about Godot? Have you ever tried it?
I have not tried it yet. I know, if I remember correctly, it's a subdivision of Epic Games, same people that run Unreal. And I've heard very good things about it. In fact, it's very, very good for 2D projects. Yes. But of course, I always err on the side of caution on these things. Let's say, for example, that Unity goes bankrupt. Let's just use that as an example. I don't think that's going to happen, but let's use that as an example.
It could happen. They're losing 1 billion a year right now.
Yes. So that means that their biggest competition is an engine owned by their other biggest competition. And you don't want to create monopolies. So I think Godot is a very good engine right now, and I don't have any problems with suggesting that people use it, but just make sure that you also diversify. If I were to suggest other engines, I would say GameMaker 2 is very good, and if you have the time and resources and know enough about programming, FNA is actually a very good option as well.
How about Unreal?
Unreal is very good for 3D projects, but I don't know if I would recommend it for 2D projects.
Do you think there's not a third option for developers to simply increase the price of their games?
I think people should increase the price of their games anyway.
Why do you say that?
The reason why I say that, and I realize it's a strange proposition right now, but if you look at the amount of money that you take for games, it's been consistent now for about nearly 20 years.
The market has grown, right?
Yes, the market has grown. The games are bigger, and on one hand, if you took a price outright at the start, then maybe we wouldn't have to do all this DLC and extra stuff. They probably will, but maybe. But I remember distinctly, because I have it on my shelf. I have a copy of Majora's Mask on my shelf from when I bought it new. In Norwegian kroner, that was 682, which roughly translates to $60. And that was the launch price back then. And for Vikings, we are going to take considerably less than that, and we really shouldn't. It's not that I want to advocate for people, robbing people with high prices. It's really just, I feel like there needs to be a market adjustment. But I don't think I'm the right person to ask when it comes to how to deal with monetary inflation. But something definitely has to be done there.